They had the spike, but the spike was able to be handled because now we understand. And what we did, we saved millions of lives because I hated to do it, but we had to close it up, understand this disease, and then open up again. And we opened, but we would have had 2 million, 2.5, or 3 million people. Think of it. We're at like around 180,000. One is too many. One. Too many. But we would have had 2.5, 3.5 million people. It would not have been acceptable, would not have been sustainable. We've done an incredible job. And these people that have done it with me, the ventilators, the vaccines, the therapeutics, these people, I mean, the hospitals, the beds that we built, the ships that we sent to New York, the ships that we sent, to have an ungrateful governor in New York, Cuomo, to have an ungrateful governor, we sent them ships. We sent them ships. We sent them, we built a convention center with 2,800 beds, and he didn't use the beds for senior citizens. He hardly used the beds at all. He hardly used the ships at all. He said we did a phenomenal job, and now he gets political. He wants to get political with me. A real wise guy, but that's okay. You got to see what they are doing between him and de Blasio. That's another beauty. What they've done to my beautiful city, I love that city so much. What they've done is so horrible. The highest taxes in the land. Crime all over the place. They're like 300% up in crime. We need Rudy to come out of retirement. But we're defeating the China virus. When Biden was vice president, he was a complete disaster on the swine flu, which was a much easier thing to handle. Joe Biden's own chief of staff said that when Biden managed swine flu in 2009, they, quote, did every possible thing wrong. This is the guy that worked for him in charge of the swine flu. And 60 million Americans got H1N1 in a period of time, and it's just purely a fortune. He said it was just, we were lucky. He said, it's just lucky that there weren't great mass casualties, different kind of a disease a little bit. And what he said is amazing. He said, we did nothing right. This is the man that's going to tell us all about building ventilators. You think Joe's going to be able to build thousands of ventilators a month, which now we're doing, and sending them to all these countries all over the world who have no hope of building ventilators, and they need them badly. So, you know, it's an amazing thing. The outbreak was so rampant that Obama-Biden, the administration, told states to stop testing immediately, and they ordered the CDC to stop counting cases because they look like hell, okay? We didn't do that. We have, by the way, the reason we show so many cases, because we have the best testing program in the world by far. By far. We've tested more people than India, than many, many big countries put together. India's second. We're 44 million tests ahead of India. They have 1.5 billion people. And Prime Minister Modi calls me and says, what a job you've done with testing. I said, explain that to these dishonest people. Biden's record demonstrates that if he had been in charge when the China virus arrived, hundreds of thousands of more Americans would have died. As vice president, he presided over the worst and the weakest and the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression. You've heard that before. It was the most pathetic recovery since the Depression. No state was hit harder by Biden's failure than Nevada. And I was out here, and he was, that's right about that. I would tell you, you got hit hard. This is not the guy you want. But under my administration, before the virus, we quickly achieved the lowest unemployment rate in the history of Nevada, and we'll soon have it back there again. We'll soon have it back there again. But I hope everybody here, 25,000 people, whatever the hell it is, including those people back there, they're angry at me. I don't know why we gave the press this good location, because no, it blocks the people of thousands of people back there, and the press is blocking them, and I consider them much more important than I do the press. But Biden wants to raise your taxes so high, he would eradicate your economy. He'd put on new regulations, and it wouldn't be him again. I'm going to keep saying it. It will be the people that control him. He's a puppet. And then he wants to do a complete shutdown. We're setting records. You know, we just set a job record for 4 months, 10.4 million people. Listen to this. So when we had this pandemic worldwide, you know, look, it's a terrible thing that a thing like this happened. People were saying we could go to 41, 42% unemployment. You know what we are now? 8.4%. I don't say that. If you would have said that, and we have the strongest, highest stock market in history. So your 401ks are doing great. If he got in, we would have the greatest depression in the history of our country. I mean it. I think 1929 would look like good times, all right? Because he'd do everything wrong. He'd raise your taxes, he'd raise the hell out of interest rates, he'd do everything wrong. The Biden shutdown will permanently destroy the lives and dreams of tens of millions of Americans, inflict totally lasting harm on our children, and lead countless deaths from suicide. Don't forget, when you do these shutdowns, your state is shut down. You got a governor, you're shut down. Except if you have a riot. You're not shut down for riots. Riots you can have. They can burn the hell out of the Strip. They can burn the hell out of Reno. They can do whatever the hell they want if it's a riot. But if you want to go to church, you can't do it. If you want to be in a group of people, you can't do it. But you know, there's a lot of harm done on the other side. There's a lot of tremendous harm done. Remember, the cure can't be worse. Remember that. And on the other side, drugs, suicide, depression, substance abuse of different kinds, heart disease. You have tremendous problems on the other side. Open your schools. Open up. We've got to open up this state. And I guarantee you, and by the way, you know, the states that are open are doing really well. They're doing much better than the ones that are closed. I don't know if you've been seeing the numbers. And this is just arithmetic. The states that are open are doing great. The states that are closed, North Carolina, what he's doing to that great state. He's got it locked down, shut down. Michigan, what she's doing, and we're trying to get Big Ten football, by the way, but we won't do it. Michigan, what she's doing to Michigan is unbelievable. Take a look at what they're doing to Pennsylvania. And here's another governor in charge of millions of ballots. So I'm going to win Pennsylvania, but what's he going to do with these ballots? Where are they going? Who are they sending? Who's sending them back? Who's signing? They don't even have to have an authorized signature in Nevada. You know that? They don't have to have, you don't have to have an authorized signature on a ballot? No, they're trying to rig an election, and we can't let that happen. I hope you're all going to be poll watchers. I hope you are. Because with you people watching the polls, it's going to be pretty hard to cheat up there. I wouldn't want to be a cheater. They'll figure a way. No, they are. It's a very dangerous thing. It's a very dangerous thing, and I totally mean it, and I've been at it. And you see people, and by the way, it's not even politics, it's common sense. They said millions of ballots. People are getting ballots. People died and they're getting ballots. They're sending them to dogs. You see that? Dogs got ballots. Everybody's getting ballots. Probably everybody but Republican are going to get the ballots. Right? And they're unsolicited. So when you say, you know, solicited, because I like solicited better as a word than absentee. Absentee, nobody knows what the hell it's supposed to represent. It's not really a good definition. One is solicited, where you ask, you solicit the ballot, you want it, you sign papers, they send it to you, you send it back, it's okay, it's good. But unsolicited, where they take millions of ballots. So what happens? I happen to think the postal people are great. But what happens if one of the post guys, before he gives the ballots, he takes a whole handful and hands them to some Democrat political operative, right? And so he hands them 1,000 ballots. And the guy doesn't even have to, you don't have to have verification into that. Now here's the good news. We're in front of a court, and hopefully the court's going to rule. Because this is the greatest scam, this is the greatest scam in the history of presidential politics. These people are, they've gone crazy. Biden and his party of liberal hypocrites want to lock law-abiding Americans in their homes, which is what they're doing. And they want to keep them out of church. They really do. They're fighting God. They're fighting guns, and they're fighting oil. Think of it. I don't think they'll do too well in Texas. Did you see what they said? We think the race will be quite close in Texas, but the president has an edge. Listen, I'm in favor of oil and energy. I'm in favor of religion and God. And I'm in favor of our great Second Amendment guns. So he's against our Second Amendment. Okay, you know who he put in charge? Beto. Or as he says, is Beto. So when Beto was legit, and then Ted Cruz beat him, and Ted did a very good job, I tell you. He did a great job. So, but Beto went totally south. He's gone crazy. So he now is a big gun guy. He wants to take guns away from everybody. So who did Biden put in charge? Beto. Remember, Beto was interviewed in some magazine, a third-rate magazine, most of them are. But remember, and Beto said, this was at the beginning, before he got beat to hell. I said, he thought this was easy, didn't he? But remember when Beto said, I was born for this. As soon as I hear somebody's born for running for president, I said, he's out. That's the end of him. Nobody's born for this. This is tough stuff. I had a great life. I'll tell you, my life was so beautiful. What the hell did I do this for? But you know what? You know what? We are doing things that nobody's ever done before. And I say it all the time, and that's what makes me happy. We're dealing with very sick and very bad and evil people. But I'll tell you, no administration in 3.5 years, no administration has done what we've done in the first 3.5 years. But they want to punish you for praying in church while they let agitators and arsonists burn your churches down. Look at Washington. They want to burn the churches down, and that's fine. But, you know, you want to go pray in church, they won't let you do that. Just last week, Biden proudly accepted the endorsement of pro-criminal, anti-police Portland District Attorney, who has a policy of releasing rioters, vandals, criminals, and violent extremists without any charges. No charges. Never saw anything. By the way, all of these places we're talking about, you know, are Democrat-run. Chicago, New York, Portland, Seattle. The only reason Seattle got settled? Because they knew we were going in. We told them, we're going in tomorrow morning. We're going to open it up. We're going to take it. It would have taken us 20 minutes. So they sent people that night because they didn't want to be embarrassed. But look at what we've done. And so every place we've touched, we solved the crime. But they have to ask us. If they don't ask us, we're not supposed to do it. But maybe we do it anyway. And it usually takes anywhere from 25 minutes to about 1 hour. Wasn't that a beautiful sight, though, in Minneapolis, right? They're burning the poor city down. I love that state. I think we have a chance of winning that state. First time in many years for a Republican. They're burning Minneapolis. You don't think of Minneapolis that way, right? You don't think of it. The city is burning down. You have this fake CNN reporter. What's his name? Velci, the nice shaved head. Maybe I should try that. Should I try that? No. Donald Trump went down substantially in the polls, like about 40%. He showed up with a new haircut. It's called the shave head. Ali Velci. And remember, he said, no, this is a friendly protest. It's a friendly protest, and it's really quite nice. And people are throwing bottles at him. He's being hit with tear gas. This is a friendly protest. And you look over his shoulder, and the entire city was burning. Remember the scene? The thing looked like it was 30 blocks. It was just burning. And he's talking about, this is all fake news. And nobody would have known. I knew it before I did it, but I never knew it to this extent. I never knew it to this extent. It is corrupt, it's fake, and they shouldn't be allowed to do it. They shouldn't be allowed. These are far-left lunatics that Biden selects to staff his government. There are policies Biden's pledged to apply nationwide. You're going to have the suburbs. You know, they have a plan. It doesn't matter. It's a regulation, very horrible regulation. Does anybody live in the suburbs? Because if you don't vote for Trump in the suburbs, okay? You know, women that live in the suburbs, they say, oh, they don't like Donald Trump. I said, I think they do. Remember last time? Remember, it's the same thing. No, it's the same thing. Remember last time, 4 years ago, Donald Trump will not do well with women. I said, why? Am I so bad? Donald Trump will not. And then the votes start coming in. He's doing very well, Jim, with women. I don't know what's going on. We did very well with women. We did well with everybody. We did well with everybody. But they have a regulation. And Ben Carson was fantastic, the head of HUD. I said, Ben, they're going to destroy the suburbs. And they wanted Cory Booker to head that program. But the program was already doing damage. They were playing with the zoning so they can build projects in the suburbs. And I said, we're going to end it. Somebody said, sir, let's just amend it. I said, nope, we got to end it. End it. I want to end it. I don't want to have a lesser version. But if he gets in, they will open up that whole program. They're going to open it up on steroids. They're going to open it up to a level that you wouldn't have believed possible, and he will drive you out of the suburbs. He will drive you out of he'll drive you out of everything. They're going to open up their, I call it the suburban destruction program, because that's what they've done, and it's been a horrible program. It's been very unfair to people with the American dream. And let me just tell you something. 30% of the people that live in the suburbs are minorities. They're Hispanic, they're black, they're Asian. It's the American dream, and they want the American dream, and they don't want that to happen. That's why I'm doing so well with African American, with Asian American, with Hispanic American, and with women. But don't let them ruin the suburbs, because they will put that regulation back immediately. And don't let them ruin the suburbs, because the suburbs are a special place. The suburbs are the American dream. That's where everyone aspires to, and that includes minorities and everybody. Don't let them ruin the suburbs. And with that comes tremendous crime. And you know, I was talking the other day. Darling, somebody just moved next door. Who is it? It's a representative of Antifa. She will look at her husband and say, darling, we're out of here. We're out of here. Antifa. Remember, they were trying to blame other people. They don't like to mention the name Antifa. I said it's Antifa, and I was right. I was right. They're bad people. And you know what? They have to pay a price for the damage and for the horror that they've caused. They have to pay a price. And it's so easy. It's so easy. A lot of them now are wealthy. You know, they're like these wealthy, spoiled kids that have no clue about life. They've got arms that are about this big, but they wear heavy jackets with lots. And you look and say, oh, that guy looks tough. And then the jacket comes off, and you see these cool little. Then they go home, and they live in a basement too. Their mom and dad's basement. But Biden's plan is to appease domestic terror, and my plan is to arrest domestic terror. Joe Biden is a weak person. He does whatever his left-wing puppet masters demand. You know that. Joe doesn't know what's going on. You know that. I mean, let's be nice about it, okay? And I'm being nice when I say it. You'll never be able to protect your family, your loved ones, or your community. If Biden's elected, his radical supporters won't just cause mayhem on the streets like you're seeing. All Democrats. We could solve it so fast. Chicago. A few weekends, think of it, 72 people shot. This is shot. Somebody said, you mean with bullets? I said, yeah, with bullets. 18 people died. Now, we're pulling our troops out of Afghanistan, out of Iraq. You see what's happening. But let me tell you, there's nothing like that over there. They don't have 18 people killed or 12 people, you know, in a short period of time. Where you have 70 people shot, where you have another weekend where they had, I think a few weekends ago, 38 people have been shot in Chicago. I said, 38? It's not even believable. And now when these people say it, they make it, you know, they try and play it down. And you're sitting there, you said, did I just hear 38 people were shot? It's just a terrible thing. And it could all be stopped. It could all be stopped so quickly. But they have to respect law, and they have to have order. Law. But these radical lefts will be running the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, and the United States Supreme Court. And you see what's going on there. If we don't, you know, the next president, hopefully it's going to be us, not me, us. But the next president is going to have 1, 2, 3, or 4 Supreme Court justices. It's just, you know, just that time, right? Just that time. Going to be a minimum of 1, I would say, but it will be a 1, 2, 3, or 4. And that's going to change the whole makeup of the Supreme Court. That's going to take away your guns. That's going to destroy your Second Amendment. That's going to change the whole rationale, thinking on so many different subjects like you wouldn't believe, including, by the way, life. Okay, life, pro-life. Anybody pro-life here? Now, this is going to change the makeup of this country for 50 years. I don't know that the country will survive 50 years if that happens. It might not survive 5 years if that happens. But the next president, and you saw I put out a list of an additional number of very conservative, highly thought of, highly respected judges. And they are the only people that I will pick. Meaning the first list, the second list, it's about 44, 45 people. They are the only people that I will consider for the Supreme Court of the United States. And I'm asking Joe Biden to do the same thing. But he can't, because he's got a bunch of radical left maniacs that they want to put on the court. And nobody can get elected, not even with Democrats, rational Democrats, will they vote for some of these people to be on. So far he's refused to do it. I'm probably forcing him tonight to do something. But he should put out a list of his judges so that you know where you stand. Biden supports cutting police funding, you know that, abolishing, and by the way, did you see we just got Chicago police today endorsed Trump? That's not easy to do. New York's finest. New York's finest endorsed. Florida, Ohio, Texas, we have everybody. Is there a police officer in the country? If there is, they'll do a commercial. This officer loves Sleepy Joe Biden. He's so tough on crime. So Biden's been going down very rapidly in the polls, and now what he's doing is he's playing tough guy. They're just tough on crime. All of a sudden, he goes from demolish and defund, okay? But he goes from, let's not give the police any money. Let's not even say defund for him. His people wanted to fund the police. They actually have places. Seattle, they actually don't want to have police. Minneapolis, they don't want to have police. They don't want to have police. What's going to happen? You saw the commercial we put up. A woman's being murdered. I'm sorry, we cannot take your call right now. We will call you back within the next 24 hours. A woman's being raped, right? I'm sorry, we cannot respond right now because we have been defunded, but we will try getting there within the next week. This is what you're going to have. I mean, that was a strong commercial. It had a big impact. But this is what you're buying with a guy like this. This guy, you're going to have Portlands all over this country, and we can't allow that to happen. Not here. This is not here in Nevada. Well, with your governor, it could happen here too. They want to abolish bail. So they want to abolish cash bail like they did in New York. They release people, the horrible criminals in New York, they release them. No cash bail. And he calls law enforcement. Biden called law enforcement the enemy. They're not the enemy, they're our friends. They're our great friends. And without them, we wouldn't be here. Here in Nevada, rioters burned the city hall in Reno. Does anybody know that? Do you know that? That's not a pleasant sight. How did you allow that to happen? I would have thought you people would have gotten out there and said, you're not going to burn our city hall. And during the violent demonstrations in Las Vegas, a 29-year-old police officer, you know about this, was deliberately shot in the head while he was doing his job. A vicious criminal left. He was a left person. He left. He was a real left, all right. And the young officer, as you know, he's a young, brilliant young guy, and he's totally paralyzed. Unlike Biden, while I'm president of the United States, I will always stand with the heroes of our law enforcement. Save America. You're talking about saving America. We cannot let this happen to our country, because I don't know if you can ever come back from what will happen, including our Supreme Court. We're joined tonight by our terrific Republican congressional nominee, who is my complete and total endorsement. Jim, where are you, Jim? Jim Marchant. Jim Marchant. A lot of people out there, Jim. It's not easy. Are you doing well? I just looked at a very solid poll. Jim Marchant is a great guy, and hopefully he's going to win, and you're going to carry him over, and you need it. You need it. Thank you, Jim. And also to a man that should have been governor. He should have been governor. What happened? I don't know what happened. Nevada Attorney General. He's a great guy, Adam Laxalt, and he's watching. And I'll tell you, Adam, please, he's a great lawyer, a great talent, and he's going places, but you have to watch. He just said our next governor. I believe that's true. You have my endorsement, but I will tell you this, Adam, if you could, because you're doing a fantastic job watch all these votes coming in on the ballots, the unsolicited ballots. Will you watch it, please? Okay? All right? You know? All right, James Settlemeyer. Where's James? Look at the size of James. I want you protecting me, James. James is good. You're doing well. I saw a good poll for you, too. I think we're all doing well. I think we're all doing well. It's like a family. Thank you, James, very much. All of you guys, thank you very much. A woman who did a fantastic job. She headed up Michigan. We won Michigan the first time in decades. Republicans won. She was horrendous. She kept calling me, sir, one more speech. Please come over. Okay, I'll do one more, Ronna McDaniel. I'll do one more, Ronna. One more. I do the speech. 2 days later, I get a call. One more, sir. We need one more. But we ended up winning Michigan, first time in decades. Ronna McDaniel, Ronna. She was great, and I said, you know, when I won, I said, well, who are we going to put at the RNC? That's Republican National Committee. Who are we going to put? And I said, how about that woman that ran? She was so tough. I said, how about the woman that ran Michigan that we won? First time in so many years. So thank you, Ronna. Great job you're doing. We appreciate it. And another man who's doing a fantastic job, who's been a friend of mine for a long time, your GOP chair, Michael McDonald. Michael. Great job, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. How are we doing, Michael? Are we leading, I hope? Okay. Yeah, we're doing well. Be careful of the ballots. It's the only way we're going to lose. Can't have this happen to our country. And also here are several really great members of a terrific association, and they like Trump a lot, the Nevada Trucking Association. Where are they? Nevada Trucking. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great job. We appreciate it very much. Those roads are going to get very nice. They're already started. Tonight our hearts are with all of the communities in the West battling devastating wildfires. I'm going there the day after tomorrow. I'm staying in your state tonight, but I'm going to be going to California. Spoke to the folks in Oregon, Washington. They never had anything like this. But you know, it is about forest management. Please remember the words, very simple. Forest management, please remember. About forest management. And other things, but forest management. My administration is closely coordinating with state and local leaders, and we want to thank the more than 200,000 people that are working on it, and 28,000 firefighters and first responders who courageously and bravely are fighting out there. They are fighting, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's a rapidly spreading, hundreds of thousands of acres. It's not been anything quite like this one. We've spent the last 4 years reversing the horrible damage Joe Biden inflicted over the past 47 years. Think of it. He's been there 47 years. And he always says, well, why didn't you do this? Why did the guy just really, you know, in all fairness, I've been here 3.5 years. So it's not like they haven't been here. He was a vice president for 8 years, and he only did one thing good. He treated Obama good. I was going to say something else, but they would have scolded me. That's exactly what I was going to say. But it's better that you say it. Do you want to shout it out? Go ahead, shout it. That's what I said. That's what I was going to say. Thank you very much. Oh, this can only happen in Nevada. And we passed record tax cuts and regulation cuts to keep the family farms and ranches in the family. Nobody even knows this. We virtually eliminated the unfair estate tax, also known as the death tax. Does anyone have a small farm, medium-sized farm, or business? Anybody? If you want to leave it to your children, you don't have to pay tax now because of Trump. I always say it, and I mean it. If you like your children, it's great. If you don't like your children, it doesn't mean a damn thing. Don't leave it there. I ended the administrations, and if you look at that last administration, what they were doing on American energy, what they were doing, and now we are the world's #1 energy producer by far, and we are energy independent. How about your gas prices? That's not too bad, right? You know, you didn't think you'd ever see those prices, those under $2 prices. They do. Thank you, President Trump. I appreciate it, sir. Biden has pledged to abolish the production of American oil and shale and clean coal and natural gas, and he wants to ban fracking, right? So he's in these debates with the other people, and they're just eating him alive. He did his best debate against Crazy Bernie, and I got to ask, why did he get better all of a sudden? What happened? Why? Do you have any idea why? I think I know. Why did he get better all of a sudden? But he did his last debate, but he was so bad, and he raised his hand, no fracking. There will be no fracking under my administration, he said. And you know why I add the word he said? Because they will take what I said, and they will put it as a commercial. There will be no fracking under my administration. They'll have me saying it. That's how dishonest these people are. So I always have to add something. But even then, sometimes they'll cut it off at the end. But he said there'll be no fracking under my administration. Now all of a sudden he goes to Pennsylvania, and his polls aren't looking very good because they do big fracking. And he goes to Texas, and he goes to Oklahoma, and he goes to North Dakota, and he goes to all these places. Not looking so good. All of a sudden he says, I had nothing against fracking. What are you talking about? But always follow their first instinct, because the first instinct is what is going to happen. And he has to, because he signed, you know, he has a manifesto. I call it the manifesto, with Bernie and AOC plus 3. You know, all these crazy people. And it's a manifesto. And it reads far worse than anything Bernie Sanders ever said. You know, I thought he'd take what Bernie did and move them somewhat to the right. No, he took what Bernie said and they moved way further left. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But follow the original statements, because that's what's going to happen. Whether it's on religion or on guns or on fracking or on energy or anything, that's what's going to happen. California has already implemented this extreme agenda, and they are experiencing massive blackouts. You know that, California. They like wind. They like wind. Oh, darling, let's watch television. I'm sorry, darling, the wind isn't blowing tonight. We can't watch television. But I want to watch President Trump. He's on television. I want to watch him. Darling, how many times do I have to tell you the wind is not blowing tonight? And the government came and turned off all the windmills because they're killing all our bald eagles and all our birds. It's unbelievable. You want to see a bird cemetery? Walk under a windmill sometime. They pile up. Honestly, it's terrible. Then the environmentalists say, oh, they're so wonderful. You know what? You know, when they talk about fumes, when they talk about going up, the carbon going up, take a look where they're made. They're made in China and they're made in Germany. They spew more crap into the air than anything. You can run those things for 15 years and they'll never make up the difference. But here's what happens. After a certain number of years, they wear out. And did you ever see a windmill when it's shot? Like Joe? What happens? Well, you know what happens there? It starts to rust. They don't paint it. The maintenance gets bad, and then they just turn it off. Take a look at California, where they have windmills that are old. And nobody wants to take them down because there's not a lot of profit in taking them down. So they're sitting there all rotten and rusting. It's terrible. And then I hear the environmentalists love them. You got to talk to the environmentalists. I work there. And they cannot, you know, solar. I like solar, but solar is very expensive and it doesn't have the power to fire up our massive plants. We have big plants, including in this great state. And you can't fire them up with this stuff. You can't fire it. We need the strength because we're competing against a lot of nations and they don't go through what we do. They don't care about the air, and they should. And they should, which is another problem. You know, I took you out of that crazy Paris Climate Accord because it was a way of hurting the United States. I tell you, we would have had to close 20–25% of our factories in order to even, it was so crazy, so expensive. But I took you out, And you know, I was surprised. Most people, they appreciate what I did. Because you think it was easy doing that? It was actually, I thought it would be devastating. I got one day of bad press after that. Everybody forgot about it. It wasn't that bad. But I did the right thing for our country. And we want to have our great plants working. We want to have our great plants fired up. And you know, they said manufacturing jobs are dead, right? Sleepy Joe said, I'm going to bring back manufacturing. Really? Well, Obama said you'd need a miracle to bring back manufacturing. I brought back 650,000 jobs. He said you'd need a miracle. And now Sleepy Joe is saying that, no, I'm going to bring back he's not going to bring back anything. I made history by signing an executive order making the official policy of the United States government to buy American and to hire American. Now, I did this a long time ago. And then I see a sign in front of Joe, right here. It said, buy American. Oh, great, Joe. Thanks, Joe. Where have you been for 47 years? Because for 47 years, Joe Biden did the opposite. He crushed the dreams of American workers and enriched foreign countries. That's how China happened. Hey, look, what I've done, I've taken billions, tens of billions of dollars out of China. Nobody else did it before me, nor the president. In all fairness to Obama and Biden, I call him O'Biden, because it's easier. O'Biden. In all fairness to O'Biden, you know, I mean, they didn't do any of that. But now I see buy American. Hey, he also copied on the pandemic. Did you see he copied everything I was doing? Except one thing, he wouldn't have closed the country to China, so hundreds of thousands of people would have died from that. But 2 and a half months later, he admitted that I was right. Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate it. And yesterday, I think he made a mistake. Well, what do you think? The USMCA, what's better, that or NAFTA? Well, no, the USMCA is better. Was that Jake Tapper? I like Jake Tapper. Was that? I don't think he likes me too much, but that's okay.